Chapter 4: Oliver's Conspiracy. As soon as it became clear that Nyla had escaped, King Oliver knew that King Jack had managed to infiltrate his palace and steal her away. He ordered his entire guard to chase after them, promising to reward anyone who could bring Nyla back to his palace. When the news that they had failed reached him, King Oliver was saddened, and he asked everyone to leave him. "Are you going to be all right, my lord?" John asked worriedly. John suspected that the noise he heard in the Great Hall must have been from the escaping parties. In a way, John felt bad, but his concern was for his king, who wasn't himself. "I will be all right, but I don't want anyone to disturb me," King Oliver replied. John nodded and left the king's presence, passing the message to King Oliver's squire that the king would like to be left alone. Most of the rabbits that came seeking the king's audience were turned away, except for one rabbit. Lucy, the rabbit who had fostered Nyla's premature baby, made her way to the palace. Because King Oliver had made it clear that she should be allowed entry into the Great Hall whenever she came, the squire didn't try to stop her, though he made it clear that King Oliver wasn't in the mood to see anyone. Lucy was just an ordinary Holland lop rabbit, but she wasn't exactly like every other Holland lop rabbit. She has some characteristics that set her apart from the other Holland lop rabbits. Her ears were the shortest in the entire kingdom, and so was her mouth. As if that wasn't enough, Lucy didn't like being touched by any of the other rabbits. The only one that she felt comfortable being touched by was Lady May. Many times, in the past, Lucy had come to the palace and King Oliver had paid her little attention. It was the fact that Nyla's premature baby was in her nesting box that made King Oliver notice her now. Despite being ignored by King Oliver, Lucy was deeply in love with him, and when she heard that Nyla had escaped, she made her way over to the palace to try to console him. She was concerned when King Oliver's squire told her he wasn't in the mood to see anyone. "Let me go in and see him," Lucy told the squire. "Not sure it is a good idea, but I'm not going to stop you." As she walked towards King Oliver, he looked up, watching her approach. Seeing her, King Oliver remembered that the premature child was still alive, though he had told Nyla she was dead. He had never intended to lie to her, but had spoken the words out of anger, and just couldn't find the heart to tell her that he had lied. He had some regrets now. If Nyla should come back, and he would tell her the truth. "How about that premature child? Is it still alive?" King Oliver asked, a plan starting to form in his head. "Yes, my lord. She is alive and well." King Oliver nodded, and he turned towards Lucy, concentrating on her. This was the first time he had looked at her directly, and Lucy can't help but blush, feeling a bit shy. While King Oliver was looking at Lucy, he wasn't even seeing her. The wheels in his mind were spinning as fast as possible, coming up with a plan. A plan which involved making use of this premature baby to win Nyla back to him. Twice, King Jack had snatched Nyla away from him, but he would win in the end. This was the thought that made King Oliver's eyes light up, which Lucy misunderstood, thinking she had that effect on him. "She is still in your nesting box?" he asked Lucy. "Yes, my lord. Do you want to see her?" King Oliver nodded and stood up. All this while, King Oliver had been sitting surrounded by his toys, having no desire to play with any of them, but now that changed. "I need to see that baby myself," King Oliver said. "Lead the way, and I will follow." Lucy felt elated that King Oliver would be coming to see her nesting box. She knew that the primary reason was the baby she had adopted, but she didn't let that cloud her delight. She was still excited. King Oliver's squire was surprised to see King Oliver come out from his room. "I will be heading over to see Lucy's nesting box," he said. The squire nodded, and both King Oliver and Lucy made their way to Lucy's nesting box where Lisa, Nyla's premature baby, was. "Her name is Lisa. Lady May named her," Lucy said next to him. "Lady May named her Lisa?" King Oliver asked, surprised. "I guess she must be as beautiful as her mother." They got to Lucy's nesting box with King Oliver expecting to see a beautiful Dwarf Hotot bunny just like Nyla, but he was a bit taken back by what he saw. Lisa in was no way what he had expected, and he was baffled. "Why are you so ugly? You don't look like your mother at all." King Oliver shook his head. "Lady May is so strange. Why would she call you Lisa?" Even though King Oliver had never gotten the chance to meet the first rabbit Lady May had named Lisa, stories about her had been passed down from generation to generation. She was raised by Lady May many years ago, and she was an excellent rabbit. Many people, as well as animals, came to Lady May's garden to look at her. Not only was she beautiful, but she was smart as well. So, this was what King Oliver had expected in Nyla's daughter. "She isn't beautiful as I thought she would be," King Oliver said to Lucy with a frown. On hearing that Nyla's baby was alive, King Oliver had thought he would be able to use her, but it seemed his plan had failed before he had even set the wheels in motion. "What are you going to do about her?" Lucy asked. "You would have to raise her. I can't raise her myself." Raising Lisa wasn't going to be a problem for Lucy, as she would just raise her alongside her babies, but Lucy was worried about Oliver. She wanted him to be happy, but she could see that he was sad. She wondered what would make her king happy. You can't go on feeling sad forever, Lucy told King Oliver. Her statement came as a surprise to King Oliver, who blinked at her. He hadn't thought much about Lucy, but he was happy to see that she was concerned about him. Jack stole Nyla away from me because she is a member of his kingdom, King Oliver told Lucy. I know, but that shouldn't make you feel sad. Some rabbits are concerned about you, and they don't like to see you looking so sad. She was talking about herself, as she was deeply in love with King Oliver, and even though she knew that the chances of being with him were very slim, she still wished for him to be happy. King Oliver wasn't a rabbit that enjoyed having other rabbits in his presence, but he tolerated Lucy. His feelings for her weren't like those he had for Nyla, but King Oliver still liked her. She looked unique and different from other rabbits, just like Nyla had. Would you like to be my queen? King Oliver asked suddenly, looking over at Lucy. His proposal came as a shock to Lucy, who started to hiccup from the surprise. Please don't joke with that, my lord, she replied. Why would I joke about something like that? King Oliver asked. Lucy wanted to be his queen, but she wasn't sure if King Oliver meant what he had said. She knew how he loved Nyla deeply. Nyla was his first choice of a queen, and she hadn't expected that she would be his second choice. As you said, there are rabbits who are concerned about me, and I know that you care a lot about me. Or don't you? I do, my lord. Then marry me. This wasn't a joke, and Lucy felt that King Oliver genuinely wanted her to be his queen. She told him that she accepted the offer, and he nodded before he turned to look at Lisa, who was still in the nesting box. We will raise her as our own, as one of your babies, King Oliver said. What about her parents? Lucy asked. Are we going to tell her about her parents? No, we aren't, King Oliver replied. No one should tell her about her mother other than me. Even though she wasn't precisely the beauty that King Oliver had thought she would be when he heard the name Lisa, it hadn't disrupted his plan entirely. He needed to make use of her to get back at King Jack. You can move to my palace now, and I will send my guards to help with the babies. Lucy nodded. She was ecstatic, as she had fallen in love with Oliver. Am I dreaming? She asked herself, as she danced around her nesting box. King Oliver returned to his palace, where John was waiting for him. John noticed that the king didn't appear as downtrodden as he had been when he left him. Are you feeling well, my lord? John asked. Why is everyone asking that? King Oliver snapped. John and King Oliver's squire looked at each other, neither willing to supply the obvious answer to the question King Oliver asked. "Miss Lucy will be moving to my palace, so send some guards to help her." "Any special reason, my lord?" the squire asked. Having a rabbit moved into the palace was unusual, and the only possible thing the rabbit could think of was that King Oliver must be thinking of marrying Lucy. The squire wasn't against the marriage, as it would be a delight to see the king finally wed. "I have decided to marry Lucy," King Oliver announced to both John and his squire. "Good news, my lord, good news," the squire said and opened eyes wide. He binkies around King Oliver and went to gather guards to help Lucy move. "You are marrying Miss Lucy?" John asked, unable to believe his ears. "Yes, I am marrying her. I have decided to raise her babies as well as Nyla's daughter Lisa." John couldn't place his paw on what was going on in King Oliver's mind, but he knew that there must be something behind this move. He knew clearly that Lucy loved King Oliver, just as King Oliver loved Nyla, but never in a million years had he thought that they would end up together. "Any reason why you decided to marry her so suddenly?" "I realized I kind of like her, and she is a good match for me." In the Holland Kingdom, there were several beautiful lady rabbits who would be a perfect match for King Oliver. Lucy wasn't one of them. John believed that Nyla's baby was what placed Lucy at the top of the list. "Then we should prepare for a royal wedding," John said. "Are we going to invite anyone?" "All the rabbits of this kingdom are invited, and anyone who wants to come, apart from the rabbits from the Dwarf Hotot kingdom." John expected that, but he wished that things could go back to the way they used to be between both kingdoms. That might be impossible if King Oliver was planning to keep Nyla's baby. "Are you going to keep her baby?" "Of course, she will be my perfect revenge against Jack." For a minute, just for a single minute, John felt like yelling at King Oliver, but he kept his calm. He wasn't comfortable with the fact that King Oliver was still planning on revenge. There wasn't any reason for it. "Won't she feel a bit out of place here?" John said. "She is going to realize that something isn't right about her compared to other rabbits eventually." "I know, but I will handle that when the time comes." "If her parents know she is still alive?" "No, no one should spread the news to the Dwarf Hotot kingdom," King Oliver interrupted John. Nothing about this felt right to John, but there was nothing he could do about it. His king had decided that he would keep the baby, and, as a loyal subject, the only thing John could do was offer his support for the king's wishes. The news of King Oliver's engagement to Lucy spread throughout the Holland Rabbit Kingdom. A few female rabbits were jealous, as they felt like they would have been a better match for King Oliver than Lucy. After all, Lucy had the shortest ears and smallest mouth in the entire kingdom, with an eccentric character. Her features didn't make her ugly, but the rabbits felt like they were better than her. Apart from the jealous rabbits, the entire kingdom of Holland was happy to learn their king was finally getting married. The only rabbit who was skeptical about the whole thing was John. He didn't like the idea that King Oliver was marrying Lucy because of his plan to take revenge on King Jack. He had closely observed the relationship between both Lucy and King Oliver, and he was confused by it. Surprisingly, King Oliver seemed to care about Lucy, which was uncommon for King Oliver, but John wasn't entirely convinced about Oliver's intentions. "Thank you all for coming," King Oliver said as the gathering quieted. The great hall wasn't sufficient to house all the rabbits who had shown up, so the ceremony had been done outside in the open. "Today, I have decided to spend the rest of my life with Miss Lucy, a rabbit whom I know I will be happy with. Finally, we have a queen who is purebred Holland Lop." Rabbits cheered as they clapped for King Oliver and their new queen. "You can all have lots of fun today. We will have bell peppers, basil, mint, radish tops, parsley, and chicory served at the wedding feast. We also have a piece of banana for everyone. Enjoy your dinner," one of King Oliver's squires announced. "Now, our king and queen will cut the cake." A rabbit brought forth a heart-shaped grass cake, which had dry flowers on the top. King Oliver and Lucy cut the cake with a smile. Cheers rang out again. "We invited the famous Holland Lop singer Miss Alice to perform tonight, and we will celebrate the wedding until midnight," the squire said again. "Don't they look happy together?" King Oliver's squire asked John, after making the announcement. "What do you think about their relationship?" John asked the squire, who was the closest rabbit to King Oliver. He was the only one who might know how King Oliver truly felt about Lucy. "I don't know what you mean," the squire replied. John sighed and asked that squire if he thought King Oliver genuinely loved Lucy. John told him he wasn't entirely sure. "I can't truly say if he loves her as much as he loved Nyla from the Dwarf Hotot kingdom," the squire started and paused, looking around to see if anyone was listening to them. "But I can say that he cares about Lucy and she makes him happy. As his squire, that is more than enough for me." It wasn't exactly the answer John had been looking for, but at least it served as reassurance that King Oliver wasn't marrying Lucy out of his desire for revenge. King Oliver cared about Lucy, and both were happy. That was what John had always wished for his king, happiness. It seemed Lucy was giving him that. After After the wedding, Lucy and King Oliver started living together properly with Lucy's babies and Lisa. Lucy looked over Lisa as well as her babies, and in time, Lisa grew up. Just as John had said to King Oliver, Lisa knew she was a bit different from the other bunnies and was confused. King Oliver decided to sow the seed of discord in her, which would help drive her to achieve his revenge for him. On this peaceful night, may all beautiful dreams surround you, cradling you into a night of good sleep. Good night.